All right, this is Stan Bloomfield. I'm here in the motel. The semi is still down. You can see Junior. He's getting ready to take care of business. Somebody opened a door or something probably. And so I want to this little video. I want to talk about a young man I met Wednesday evening in the gas station. I got out of my car at the fuel pump, and this young man came around out of his car smiling, and he said, I want to look at this. And he showed me the front of his windshield, and it had a great big sign in it that said, Jesus can save you. Something like that. Jesus save. It was several words. And we got to talking, and I really do like this guy, this young man. He told me about some of his personal issues and how the pastor of his church took him in, and this pastor does this with other people as well, and basically God, with the help of this pastor, helped him straighten his life out, and so now he's working, and he was delivering pizzas, and that's so as we were talking, I mentioned a video that I put up about marriage and how biblical marriage can put an end to divorce. The young man, I was kind of stunned that he knew about the passages that I was simply quoting without saying where they came from. And I was kind of shocked, because I didn't expect his response, which basically said, no, we don't do this. Okay, but again, we're talking about biblical marriage putting an end to divorce in the church, Protestants or Catholics. I don't, if a family is a Bible believer, and generation after generation has ended up with divorces, that's because of this young man's response, which all of Christianity has had since we were given the Bible. The Geneva Bible, the King James Version, for 400 years. Everybody, the system came back at us and said, "Oh no, you're under this, not that." So anyhow, some of the things I was quoting on how divorce can be stopped in the church is, I said the young man, when he marries his wife, he cannot go out and serve in the military for a full year. He can't get a job for a full year. He has to stay home and cheer up his wife for that first year. And if he has to stay home a full year, he has to have a house and a full year's wages. Now, at that point, the young man, he said, he kind of like, "Oh, here we go." Now, he didn't say anything negative. He just said, "Oh, that's the Old Testament." And I was like, yeah. And what it showed me was the grace versus law argument again. Now, the New Testament does not address marriage the way that the Torah addresses marriage. It absolutely does not. And when you look at, like, the Amish, they don't wear clothing made of cotton and wool at the same time. Okay? And the New Testament doesn't address that. The New Testament, all of Protestant and Catholic Christianity, the New Testament has a passage in Timothy that says all creatures are good for food if received with thanksgiving. Whatever the right position is, I ain't eating pork, but the interpretation that Christianity has for that passage, the New Testament addressed a biblical diet where we eat pork and shrimp and all that kind of stuff. All right? The issue is, if the New Testament doesn't address it, I suspect the Amish says, well, it's addressed right here in the Old Testament, whether it's the Torah or the rest of the Old Testament. And so what the young man did is pretty much the same thing that all of Christianity does. His pastor, his church, every single person he knows that's a believer, every last one of them would say, we are following and living and presenting and teaching others how to live with the whole Bible. The whole Bible. Now, what the young man did when I said those 4 or 5 statements about what the male has to do before he can get a job after being married, before he can go out and serve in the military, before he can do certain things, he immediately said, oh, that's the Old Testament, which is grace versus law. Well, there's absolutely no one in their right mind would say if that the Amish are being legalistic because they refuse to wear a shirt that's made with wool and cotton. No, I don't believe anybody on this planet would connect those dots and say that's legalism because you're keeping part of the Torah. And then others would, because James said you break one little part of the Torah, you broke the whole law. Anyhow, so the young man, without knowing what he said, and every Christian that I've ever dealt with, when we get into this type of this topic, subject, issue, area, he literally said, we keep the whole Bible. Now, he didn't say this literally, but the way he responded, we keep the whole Bible, and the Torah and the rest of the Old Testament is not part of the whole Bible. That's been done away with. And that, I'm stunned. I'm stunned at that response, because that goes right back to Marciana Sinope, where the God of the New Testament is stronger than the God of the Torah. And so we didn't get into any debate or discussion or argument. He invited me to come to the service Wednesday night, and I tried, and he described how their church was right by a laundromat down by MLK and Holmes, and turns out there's another laundromat on the east side of MLK and Holmes. I went to the laundromat on the west side, and by the time it was so much snow and wind, and by the time I gave up, it was 7:30, and their service started at 7, so I didn't get to go to the service. But I really think that this is a huge part of what has gone wrong with Christianity. When a day comes when someone says we should be marrying our children off with the same standard that the Hebrews were marrying their children in the Torah, we should be doing the same thing with ours, and it will end the divorce rate in the church. And then all of the Protestants and Christians respond with, they don't say this, they never would. We keep the whole Bible, but don't you dare put that law, them terrible, burdensome 613 laws of Moses, those first 5 books, those are done away with, and we don't live this life in that, because that would be legalism, and we would be trying to earn our salvation. That is crazy. What it really is saying is, we would rather have a 50% divorce rate every year in the United States of America than to be under that tyranny of the Torah. That's what the young man actually said. And if I would have asked him, do you and your church teach the whole Bible? He would have said yes. We really are in trouble when we get to this level. Well, let's see if somebody can make these thoughts of mine better or clearer. But yeah, I know I'm right, that if Christians started marrying their children the same way the Hebrews were told to do it, the divorce rate would go down drastically in the church. All right, stand out for now.